So the next big trade we are going to talk about in full is the Washington Wizards trading for Anthony Davis. And Alex, when I tell you, when I got the notification, I had to double check. I said, there's no way Anthony Davis is going to Washington. And you know what? They not fucking around. It is like an arms race for the 2027 season. Everyone is pushing all their chips into the middle. And you get a Trae Young, you get an Anthony Davis. That's more than the Hawks did in Trae Young's 5-6 years. Like, you're going to pair a Trae Young and Anthony Davis along guys like former number 1 pick Alex Sarr, former number 6 pick Trey Johnson, former 25th pick in Keyshawn George. You got Cam Whitmore, who's a former first-round pick, Bub Carrington, who's a former lottery pick. You got Bilal Coulibaly, a former lottery pick, and then you got Will Riley, who's a top 20 pick. So you're filling these young guys with an elite veteranship. You're bringing Anthony Davis, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, an NBA All-Pro, All-NBA, All-Star, Trae Young, All-Star, All-NBA. Like, you're bringing a culture around, and you still kept your first-round pick. So Trae Young, stay in them sweats. Anthony Davis, stay in them sweats. Because we get to bring in another, we were talking about this draft class all episode. You get to bring in another elite young guy into this organization. So what this is going to look like for the Washington Wizards in the East, play in maybe. And that is good enough because look at what we've been doing. Nothing. Mm-hmm. So, Alex, what were your initial thoughts on Anthony Davis getting traded to the Wizards and then kind of just the aspect of what this future can look like in Washington?
Yeah, I think when I first heard the news, I thought it was interesting the timeline that they traded him. I thought they would trade him in the summer when his trade value would be a little bit higher. I think the Mavericks just really just want to rebuild around Cooper and just like we're going all in around this player because Cooper has been amazing. So I totally respect that. I just think it's kind of ironic in the lap. Thinking back on that Luka AD trade, I'm not gonna say that.
Say it. You're saying what I'm thinking. Say it.
It's still the worst trade I've ever heard of, in sports history. You know what I mean? But I think that the Mavericks, they are so blessed they got Coop. They are so blessed because if Cooper Flack was not a Maverick at the moment, this the owner would have to resign. And it's just outrageous. And I can't even put it into words at the moment. I can't even articulate it. But the Mavericks fans are past the Luka trade. What you got for Luka is the Marvin Bagley Jr., who was drafted before Luka by the Sacramento Kings in 2017, 2018.
Always find a way to shade the Kings.
It's my hometown. I just
I'm sure everyone here gets it. You just
yeah.
It really grinds your gears.
Yeah, they really do. So it's really interesting from the Mavericks standpoint, and it's really interesting from the Wizards too, because this doesn't make them a top 6 lock in the playoffs. But I am glad there's more moves in the East to make some of these Eastern teams better. Because I feel let's be honest, maybe since 2017, maybe 2016, it's been top 2 team heavy in the East. I remember it was Milwaukee and the Celtics for a minute. And then the Knicks try to add up in there. Then obviously the Pacers came out of nowhere. The Cavs were there for a minute too. And so I really want a little bit more variety in the East. So maybe this will make it interesting, especially like you said earlier, the Hornets are doing well. Maybe that can translate to next year's success. I kind of like what the Hawks are doing, but I really don't know what they're doing. Maybe the Magic could turn it around. Maybe Giannis goes to Miami. You know what I mean? So let's add a little bit more variation into the East. But also adding 2 injury-prone stars makes no sense to me too. Because when are they ever going to get on the court? Because I feel at this point with AD, love the man. He's a gold medalist, NBA champion. deservingly to be in the Hall of Fame. You tap him on the shoulder, his wrist breaks. Like his body works so differently. And he's getting older, and I know he cost a lot, but it does make them a little bit more competitive in a not so crazy Eastern Conference.
Like Smurf said, 80 is cooked. It sells tickets. Being an organization that's been a ghost town, bringing
Yes.
2 All NBA players to your town every night, wearing your jersey. I don't know if you remember, Alex, but when the Wizards had Bradley Beal and John Wall, that shit was popping.
That was crazy. You had gang sign throwing
They had Paul Pierce hitting game winners in the playoffs. Like, Washington
that was
is
great.
hungry for a sports team, a good sports team, and now they might have it. So you never know. But you talked about the Mavericks, and I wanted to bring that up. The biggest loser of the NBA trade deadline is Klay Thompson.
Oh.
He left home, dynasty, left them to go play with Luka and Kyrie, and then you get AD and Coop, and you're like, oh, we good. Then they trade Luka, they trade Kyrie, or they trade Anthony Davis. Kyrie's not coming back, and now he's the Fresh Prince meme, just sit in the living room, empty, just looking around, saying, "Damn." I mean, it wouldn't have been much better in Golden State, but at least.
But you know what, though?
You built that home.
It's not even that he could have stayed home. Could have went to the Lakers.
Could have went anywhere, but he wanted to go play with Luka, and I get it.
Played for that franchise that he grew up like loving. You know what I mean? And now look at the Lakers. They got Luka. So you should have just went there. But no one would have expected the Dallas Mavericks to ever trade Luka. No. And Mavericks fans, what a hell of like a 365-ish days they've had.
It was like literally like last week. It was a year ago since they traded Luka.
Yeah. It's literally been insane for Dallas Mavericks fans.
And you traded a 5-time All-NBA in 6 years of his career. They turned Luka
NBA Finals run.
They turned Luka Doncic. They turned Luka Doncic into Max Christie, Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, a 2026 unprotected Oklahoma City Thunder pick. So bottom of the bottom. A Warriors 2030 protected pick, and 3 future second-round picks.
That's so sad. And you know what I think about? Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks, and Luka went for 1.
Desmond Bane went for 3.
Yeah, Luka Doncic altogether was 3 or 4 first-round picks. If I'm not mistaken.
It's crazy.